Is it too late to talk about Fallout? Amidst the absolute chaos of perpetual spoiler season, it's very hard to get a grasp on every single card that comes out in a set. So today, we're taking a look back in time at 10 cards you missed from the Fallout Commander decks. Fallout is an extremely popular video game franchise that has now been turned into an apparently pretty good TV show, but no spoilers yet because I have not gotten around to watching it. But this is not a TV show, this is a Magic the Gathering YouTube channel, so let's talk about cards. And in keeping with the vibe here on the channel, every single card in this list is under $1. And as per usual, this video is brought to you by the EDH Jank Center, your source for everything Commander and everything Jank, and I am your host Jordan. Now let's dive in. Our first card up today is Almost Perfect. 4 green-white enchantment aura. It says Enchant Creature. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 9-10 and has indestructible. I mean, yeah, it's high cost, but dude, a 9-10 base power buff and indestructible is completely worth our time. It is very easy to ramp into with green splashed in this build, and I just can't stop thinking about the synergy with Ardennes, so yeah. This smacks and is quite literally almost perfect, so yeah. Something I wish my decks could be, but alas. On to the next card. Up next, we got Automated Assembly Line. 1 and a white artifact. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get zip and energy counter. You can pay 3 zips and create a tapped 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. I want to say for anyone who might be new to the game and is stumbling upon this video, they are not called zips. I am just doing that for the memes. Okay. So in the past year, we have seen a ton of new support for energy, which I love because now it makes the Atraxa energy deck I built even more viable. But this is not an Atraxa video, so let's talk about how this thing can just passively generate tokens for us. These tokens, as you know, can be used and abused in most artifact builds for some kinds of crazy shenanigans. You throw in a drum bellower and some other untapped synergies, and we have tons of ways to turn those robot tokens upright. Also, I just love that this card promotes an aggressive style of play with artifact creatures instead of some degenerate combo deck. And don't get me wrong, combo decks are cool and have their own place in the format, but I just love me a good smash face deck, dude. And doing it with artifact creatures is always fun. Maybe Alibu or Lochiel. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. All right, moving on to Boomer Scrapper. 1 black-red creature human soldier. It says, whenever Boomer Scrapper enters the battlefield or attacks, you lose 1 life and create a junk token, which is an artifact with tap. Sacrifice this artifact. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And it says, whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Boomer Scrapper, and it's a 1/1. So for 3 mana, we're getting a body that can scale up as the game progresses and junk tokens? And then if we give it a haste, we can get 2 junk tokens in 1 turn? Sign me the F up, dude. This goes great with goblin tokens, treasure tokens, junk tokens, clue tokens. You get the picture. Rakdos or Mardu artifact decks need this thing, folks. And by the way, junk tokens are very cool, and maybe I'm blind, but I haven't seen anyone talking about them at all. Impulse draw that also gets you some artifact or token death triggers, indubitably. I'll take 10. All right, dude, next up we're doing Bighorner Rancher. 4 and a green creature, human ranger. It's got vigilance and tap. Add an amount of green equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Sacrifice Bighorner Rancher. You gain life equal to the greatest toughness among other creatures you control, and it's a 2/5. Listen, this artwork is giving Joel from The Last of Us in the best way, so I had to let the accent out, and I don't care who knows it. So yeah, as much as I love aggro decks that are low to the ground, I also love my big stompy chonky boys, dude. And this card is a mana dork for the ages for those kinds of decks. 1 creature that can tap for 6 to 10 mana is a huge boon for mono green stompy stuff. The vigilance, life gain, and big butt are just icing on the cake. Speaking of a chonky guy, let's move on to our next card, which is Strong, the Brutish Thespian. 4 green legendary creature, mutant berserker. It has Ward 2 and Enrage. Whenever Strong is dealt damage, you get 3 rad counters and put 3 +1/+1 counters on Strong. It also says you gain life rather than lose life from radiation, and it's a 7/7. And getting a rad counter means that you have radiation, so this is what that means. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, if you have any rad counters, mill that many cards. For each non-land card milled this way, you lose 1 life and a rad counter. I was blown away by this card because I can't believe they named a card after me. You know, I was so honored, and that joke doesn't make sense because you can't see that I more resemble a hobbit than a tall, chiseled green mutant, but you can't land them all, you know? Anyways, this is an insane Voltron commander, but also has a cool milling sub-theme, which is a super fun twist. Fighting also is incentivized when you play this deck. Not brawling with your opponents, but like the mechanic fighting, which I always love to see. Which, now that I think about it, this could be a great inclusion in my Weta Stuffy Doll Stop Hitting Yourself deck, which you can go check out on the channel. It's a pretty cool deck tech if I do say so myself. And hey, on top of everything, we also get to gain life rather than lose life from radiation. This is an all-around great card, and also as an actor myself, I love the reference to Hamlet here in the artwork. Very dope, very cool. Now let's move on. 2 Elder Arthur Maxon, 1 white-black legendary creature human knight. It says, creature tokens you control have training, which is whenever a creature token you control attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on that token. It also has Blind Betrayal. Sacrifice another creature. Elder Arthur Maxon gains indestructible until end of turn, and it's a 4/2. So I somehow missed this card when all the decks came out, but I am loving that built-in protection ability, dude. Tokens are not hard to come by in these colors, and the ability to sack one at instant speed to protect from a board wipe or targeted removal is so choice. I'm thinking a cheeky Voltron build with this one, but it's pretty open-ended in terms of what you could do, so explore it. Alright, next card up is our most expensive card of the day. It's Inventory Management, a red and a white instant with split second. It says, as long as this spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. It also says, for each aura and equipment you control, you may attach it to a creature you control. So in these decks, we got some insane cards for aura and equipment strats. This card is so good, dude. At instant speed, it lets us shift our auras and equipment around to the ideal creature for the game scenario. But it also has split second, which means that once this goes on the stack, no one can respond to it. If you have a Boros equipment deck, snag this up. Cannot believe it's under $1 still. All right, next on the list is Acquired Mutation. 2 and a red enchantment aura. It says, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded, which means it attacks each combat if able and attacks a player other than you if able. And whenever enchanted creature attacks, defending player gets 2 rad counters. Now, it wouldn't be a list of mine if there weren't some kind of forced combat going on. Obviously, we get to give our opponents rad counters and make them mill, which is cool, but honestly, I like having another aura that goads things. Pretty simple, to be honest, but I love it, and so should you. Who doesn't want their friends to be fighting each other while you sit back and watch? That's just, beautiful. All right, moving on to Nuke Launcher. 2 colorless mana artifact equipment. It says, equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has Intimidate, which means it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. And whenever equipped creature attacks until the end of defending player's next turn, that player gets 2 rad counters whenever they cast a spell, and the equip cost is 3. This equipment is one of my faves printed this year. The power buff is great for anything, and then Intimidate is just so sweet. Evasion and a power buff, and then we get to punish the opponent we attack for casting spells during their next turn by giving them rad counters for 5 total mana. I think this is dope, even if you're not playing with rad counters or proliferate strats or any of that. Also, it's a rocket launcher in MTG, which I think is hilarious and cool. All right, our last card of the day is Sentry Bot, 4 and a white artifact creature robot. This has flash, and this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature attacking you. And it says when Sentry Bot enters the battlefield, you get zip for each creature attacking you. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay zip, zip, zip. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and it's a 2/5. Well, say hello to my favorite new combat trick. If there are 4 or more creatures attacking us, this means that we can cast this for just 1 mana. And let me simplify the card here. If 6 creatures attack us, we'll get 6 energy, meaning on our turn during combat, we'll get to put 2 +1/+1 counters on each of our creatures. And obviously this scales up if you're playing with energy counters already, but also it's great in non-energy decks too. I think it'd be fun to fog, then cast this card if you have a huge board swinging in at you. That way you don't take any damage, but still get all the energy from the attacking creatures, and on your next turn, you can buff up your board and maybe kill the person who attacked you in a blind rage of vengeance. And just like that, we're at the end of this week's video, guys. What set should I review next? What cards are your favorite from the Fallout Commander decks? Did I miss anything? I'm always down there in the comments with you guys, so come on down and have a chat with me. And hey, listen, if you'd like to get extra entries in our monthly Discord giveaways, win prizes in our monthly deck building contests, and play spell table games with me and my podcast co-host Cress every month, check out our Patreon in the description below. We've got lots of awesome ways to support. And if you want to snag a Pyramid Designs playmat through our affiliate link, check that out in the description below. If you use our link, you get 30% off your purchase. And for those who may not have the funds but still want to be part of the community, you can always hop in our Discord completely for free and join our wonderful community of jank lovers. Another free way to support us is by liking and subscribing to the channel, following us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at EDH Jank Center. All right, that's about it for me. I'm out, and I'll see you on the next video.